Welcome to Tidbit Talkin. This is a series that consists of spewing out assorted thoughts which arose from somebody who thinks too much, taking in, and generally loving various entertainment media by the boatload. These tidbits may be mini theories, observations, or simply jokes. Hopefully people will find them entertaining or at least interesting. And who knows, maybe they'll lead to others looking at what amuses them in different ways than before. Also, bear in mind that everything blabbed about in these videos comes from the perspective of somebody who's experienced every main story bit connected with whatever works currently being gone over. So spoilers are a definite. However, other works set in a shared continuity will typically solely be referenced in a way that only makes sense to anybody who's also experienced those ones fully up until their same time occurring points. Sort of a coded nod kind of deal. So, while things will be more fun for viewers who've indulged with an entire universe's works, nobody who has yet to do so will get not-experienced events spoiled. Now, with all of that out of the way, here we go. FLASHMAN very well could be a lighthouse keeper. His time-stop ability would be quite useful for halting ships on a dangerous collision course, at which point he'd use his basic weaponry to clear out whatever's in the path of any viciously veering vessel. These clock configuration copying, controlled character curbing contraptions could have originally been built for the purpose of wasting work-wrecking walkiness, which in the case of glance, gagging, glare-giving guy's ship safety securing station would be eliminating giant squids or whatever that attached themselves to advanced submarines and stuff. Those Walker deals some Sniper Joe's joyride in were probably created by recycling the scraps of certain terrifying hopping machines widely used back in Mega Man 1. It's likely that worm bot building bumps are utilized under regular circumstances to exterminate animals who move in on people's crops. Their ability to endlessly eke out new nutrition-napping nuisance nibblers might be the result of them pulling back in all that energy and metal fragments which get unleashed upon creation crushing with some sort of ridiculously remarkable robot ruins recycling rig. E-tanks might just be the result of machine maintenance managing merchants making extra sturdy storage for energy pellets following Wily's first game assault. Wouldn't want any all-aiding androids abandoning allies after acquiring an astonishing egg amount after all. FLASHMAN's problem with that crash-called co-worker's capabilities is simply because his signature time-stop ability isn't exactly true to its name. The thing appears to merely halt anything on a carefully planned trajectory, possibly by exerting some great invisible force in directions opposing whatever is moving around nearby. Thus, it can't do anything about overly chaotic kinetic crap like explosions, which leads to those blinking bombs bringing down dazzling dude quite handily. Light likely doesn't have any actual names ready for those mobility amplifying items he gives Mega Man with because the things are meant to be mass-produced eventually, and there are some kind of contractual obligations afoot that involve commission casting companies banning others from supplying labels before they do. These death lasers are probably present because Wily made QUICKMAN rob a bank that houses the largest physical assets stockpile in their world or whatever. Of course, Professor Problematic's careless pilfering provided a more or less endless supply of funds for future foe forging and colossal creepy castle constructing. Sir Mobility Personified may have been created with the cover of being an official mascot for the Olympics. The giant torch bullhead sporting steel soldiers found in his stage would of course have been Torch Healthiness providing assistance. Among those previously pondered, pause protection providing peculiar pivoting pattern possessing products is of course Mr. Movement Master's main energy supply. That is, his function enabling innards are simply moving too erratically and swiftly to be halted like his body when facing freezing flashing, which of course results in massive stamina drain problems as his CPU gives out presently unachievable kinetic commands practically endlessly during such moments. Bitty boring building bot's typical usage likely mostly consists of seeking out ore for machine manufacturing. Massive pieces of clockwork technology would be relatively common in Mega Man's universe because providing proper maintenance to such things is a snap when employees that don't need sleep are available. On a related note, the segmented domino fall happy pillar deals and those below bound bounty bots are probably portable temporary replacement materials for immense damage experiencing lower located level segments. They'd of course get relieved from their posts once the Mets showed up with some sentience lacking permanent parts. QUICKMAN's agile arcing artillery annihilates Sir's stable state relatively easily because its shape and trajectory make ripping out the ladder's vital gut-grinding gears via deadly between tiny space located squeezing quite simply a task for anybody with adequate aim. The situation where Inhuman of Steel faces extreme problems with atypical self-inflicted wounds is of course because installing pieces improperly really messes up clockwork devices. Finally, that whole deal where the metal blades are at least sorta strong against practically everything is of course because they are manufactured with cutting through Mega World's most common materials in mind. Wiley building a robot to infiltrate places that make many machines by accepting supervisory positions of course helped him gather much material for future schemes. Robots shaped like woodmen would likely be generally used as managers for 24/7 operating forest-located wildlife researching teams. The never-out-of-style baton baddies are probably utilized by cooler-headed folks to study their fleshy brethren in a checking for new diseases popping up sorta capacity. Their steel fang-based blood-taking action can of course still harm not-so-squishy deals quite a bit. Bizarrely big bunny bot's peaceful period purpose probably involves entertaining children at various establishments. Crazy robo-Cerberuses are likely meant to clear out things such as large growths of natural environment-ruining fungus or whatever when they aren't being maniac-controlled. Gear-gutted gorilla's goal being fruit farming makes quite a bit of sense. Those extra entity-emitting egg enclosure-equipped enemies seem like they possess the normal purpose of supply sending. In particular, it seems as if their fake fledgling friends would just hand out energy pellets and whatnot willingly, instead of only dropping them upon a good old-fashioned self-defense motivated kill. Metallic ostrich phoenixes probably prep soil for new plant life whenever they aren't being scientific sociopath controlled. The thing's inability to get scratched by metal blades is probably because their highly important reason for existence warrants utilization of sturdier than average materials. An android like Mr. Bark wouldn't be designed as a robot that produces much heat compared to his bolt-bearing brethren because getting too hot puts the natural inspirations he regularly observes at great risk. Thus, lower end, greater than average temperatures result in malfunctions for this springy splinter supplying steel soldier. An artificial amphibian would be quite useful for transporting underwater found goodies to the surface and vice versa. The thing's sizable gut may even contain pressure-adjusting tech for whatever load it's currently carrying. Swanky shell-shielded society servants seem like they're mostly utilized as human garbage-removing apparatuses. Guess those soda rings are also problematic if dumped into this universe's oceans. Anglerfish bots and their savagely spat shrimpy servant standard situation might involve fighting felonious fishers who go after endangered aquatic species. Jellyfish mimicking tech piles probably provide some much-needed light for their deep-sea exploration responsible cohorts. Their blinky cores might even have different patterns that convey various levels of emergencies. Even in the world of super fighting robots, Morse code is extremely useful. Spikes of both the oceanic and terrestrial variety are likely meant to destroy environment-unsuited bots immediately upon their intrusion into wherever they don't belong. Such dangerous decorating would be quite necessary, seeing as how most cases of atypical android arrivals involve malfunctioning, not superheroics. Nothing's more deadly than an ultra-mobile, 2-ton hunk of junk that doesn't know what's going on. METALMAN's magnificent mincemeat makers mercilessly mangle Mr. Marine Machine Manager because they cut clean through his outermost steel skin segment, which is of course the one that protects him against ocean depth pressure related hoopla. Those helicopters helicopter head hosting stomp-savoring slinky soldiers standard services could include helping with both temperature regulation and vital resource transportation. Slowly circling cyber cylinders seem like they'd be good for energizing battery-demanding hard-to-reach places. Just like with any power source, disabling every safety precaution on their dispenser and tossing them all over the place makes for considerable danger. Aside from the obvious problem fire typically has against moistness, bubble lead likely leaves Heatman in a sorry state because it operates by pulling oxygen in the surrounding area into one place. Thus, there's not much fuel available for this fierce foe's flaming on when said skill gets utilized. Those face-bearing cavalry-generating platforms are probably normally used for weather-regulating purposes in flight paths. The tiny drills dished out by them might traditionally serve the purpose of aiding with maintenance-related emergencies so dire that things must be dealt with mid-air. The tiny demonic deals those aforementioned airspace-altering articles accessorize themselves with would have likewise been used for warning gravity-defying travelers when weather-related things couldn't be kept under control. Those oddly familiar cloud riding, lightning bolt brandishing bots before business might have consisted of supplying electricity to all other upper atmosphere residing techno deals. Big blue boss resembling rigorously rotating robots' robustness is so they don't blow each other away while performing their duty of cooling off all the literally high tech. Airman himself doesn't have to worry about getting tossed about by anybody because this sky station supervisor sports some supremely spectacular maneuverability. Thus, if he were to get wind-wrecked, things would always end up with him safely falling in style. In addition to clogging up and subsequently overworking breeze-blasting boss bots' big blades, the leaf shield makes this battle a cinch because it provides an equally powerful current that overwhelms every already active atmospheric alteration. The massive blowing brought upon CRASHMAN is troublesome because it ruins his footing. Such a thing simply can't be had when explosives are being dealt with. Plus, all that oxygen getting moved around probably messes with the power of his blasts. Wiley likely started operating under a great deal of false identities after Mayman 1 made his villainy public knowledge. With these aliases, absurd awfulness amounts are able to be produced because they give Short Albert a shot at mundane but evil essential activities such as property purchasing and new robot manufacturing. For example, this fortress may have been officially constructed as a theme park by Alan Faxmersher, an individual who also supplied some lighthouses and geothermal power facilities with new mechanical managers. This data deciphering dragon would of course have been built under the guise of giving that aforementioned amusement arena an amazing mascot. On that note, mythical menacing machines' inability to withstand boomerang barrages would be because the thing could only be manufactured if child entertainment providing functions were present on its blueprints. Say something along the lines of playing fetch for an audience. Getting ready to catch something with the mouth doesn't really leave one in a very sturdy state. These deals are of course regular presses modified with some strange stroll-stopping spikes. There may have been phony plans for a humongous projector screen that allowed Wiley to order this giant film reel-looking junk. He of course instead used the stuff for some pulley-involving death trap manipulation action. Bubbles bust up that fatal flooring fairly easily because the material required for such shape-shifting isn't able to be waterproofed since doing so would render it too heavy or something. The yellow water down here is likely caused by these Piranha Bots paint jobs washing off and permeating throughout it because they weren't granted any wetness proofing since that aquatic show which would star them never actually became a thing. This big old Gutsman resembling tank would have served a fake purpose nigh identical to that of the Dragon Bot from Wily Stage 1. Most kids would adore the famous Dr. Light's construction android because it has traits they often love, muscles and color, just like many superheroes. Construction worker resembling demolition vehicles problem with flames and rings would be the result of its non-existent young soul amusing show involving throwing stick feats which one-up that giant leaping lizard. A bigger mouth demands more impressive twigs to catch, and lighting some ablaze is one way that can be achieved quite easily. Fall-forcing false floors could very well be a highly modified version of those ever-so-wonderful warp tiles. Maybe Mega Man's Mercy Invincibility is some kind of automated defense system that activates whenever non-lethal damage is received. Perhaps it works by temporarily moving energy that will be used to fix visible damage around his body in a barrier-forming fashion before the stuff settles in as new form fragments. The Boo Beam Trap's public production approval activating falsification was probably something along the lines of a laser show for late nights at Happy Skull Land. It's exclusively weak to the crash bomb because the thing was installed with some great weatherproofing tech. Wily's weakness against bombs and blaze balls is because the helitank deal he's operating doesn't really possess an efficient cooling system. Thus, applying extra heat makes him and it experience much meltdown madness. That troublesome top-tier temperature tortures Mega Man quite a bit too, in the form of extra collision damage. The Scarlet Slop slowly slipping down from above in this underground area is probably caused by Dr. Dream Destroyer not developing his bony base with an up-to-code sewage system. That alien machine can't bear being bubble blasted because waterproofing the thing would interfere with its remote control capability for some reason. Invader-inspired inventions, intense close encounter pain situation is likely the result of that previously mentioned battle-brought brief barrier not functioning so well deep underground due to its early version status. Metal blades don't destroy drills because the opposing swirly motions cancel cutting power quite a bit. In universe, passwords might be light, restoring his metallic son's damaged memories with some backup data.
Endings are a pain, but all of you are fantastic. See ya.